I really thought that this one was further down in the stack. I am frustrated when I was planning for the making of this video because I've realized that since the pandemic, since I've learned the best way to buy a lot of books, I have accumulated a collection of books and now I just need to read them. I have every intention of reading all of these. It's just a little bit difficult because while I love books, while I love learning new things, I love nonfiction books especially, and while all of these are on really interesting subject matter, I'm also a very tech savvy person, and I'm not gonna say that I'm like addicted to the internet because I don't believe that I am. It's just kind of hard to balance all of my interests, all of the things that I find value in learning about. It's hard to balance my time with all of those. I really wish that I could block my time better. Maybe that should have been one of my New Year's resolutions, and maybe it will be one of my next year New Year's resolutions, although I don't think that you should put off goals until later. I think that that's a bit maybe outdated, maybe impractical. Either way, I really want to read all of these books. This is not going to be your average book talk because I actually have no fiction books, no romance books in my stack over here, but they are all about interesting subject matter that I still wanted to talk about. I'm going to start with two pretty interesting books. This one is called Footnotes from the World's Greatest Bookstores. This one I have looked through most of the bookstores, but basically there's an illustration of a bookstore, the name of it, and a little synopsis of like where it's at and history about it. So there are quite a lot of different bookstores. This one is very interesting. The way that it's like laid out, aligned, is really unique. I actually found this at a local thrift store that I was not imagining in a million years finding anything like this at. A tip that I have for finding good books at thrift stores. So I have two websites mainly that I would recommend. One is bookoutlet.com and the second one is thriftbooks.com. But also Goodwill is a pretty okay place to go. I say okay because I don't live near a big city, so my Goodwills are very thematically the same, and sometimes I can find things that I'm interested in. You have to have a good eye when shopping at Goodwill because there is no search box that you can filter things through. I actually didn't find that one at a Goodwill. I found that at a very local thrift store, so I was even more surprised. But basically, since I've been a lot more selective about buying any book at full price from a big name bookstore, I have bought more books. So that is my problem, that is my issue, a lack of time management. I will say that this is not all my problem because I find it hard to focus for long periods of time, even when I really want to focus on something. It's just my living situation, honestly. I'm not going to get too in depth about that, but my environment right now is not the best for focusing on long projects most of the time. Okay, this next one is by Ivana Litch. She played Luna Lovegood in the Harry Potter series. I actually have a mission that I'm gonna collect all of the autobiographies from the cast, and I did pay full price for this one. I believe I might have gotten this at Thrift Books, but I believe I actually got this like in person at a bookstore. So this was one of the few that I broke my rule for. I wanted it when it was new and I wanted it in new condition, but I don't regret it. I do really want to collect all of these, and I do have another autobiography that I'll show later on in this haul that's related to this one. Next, I have one that I feel like was really trendy, especially in 2023, but it's a book that's all about creativity. I wanted to learn more about the concept. I wanted it to feel like I was still in college and learning about an abstract concept, but I wanted to bring it into reality, especially with like photography, videography, and social media. I have not really gotten very far in this book, but it's still really inspiring to me to be around a record of a concept, I guess, like creativity. And I do plan on reading all of these books. I'm actually really excited to read this one and see what the author has to say about creativity. I really thought that this one was further down in the stack, but it's the next Harry Potter autobiography. It was a little bit discounted at Target. I did get it when it was brand new. I wanted it in new condition, and sometimes you have trouble finding books in new condition at Book Outlet and thrift books, and obviously Goodwill as well. So again, I broke the rule this time, but I feel like it's worth it. I want to collect these autobiographies when they're in new condition. These are things that I feel like I would really treasure. I actually did have COVID in the summer of last year, so I did get more through this one when I was sick. When I was younger, it was always on my bucket list to go to a private art school. In America, private colleges are really expensive, so although that never actually ended up happening, I've always been really intrigued with the concept of going to art school. I had to buy this book, What They Didn't Teach You in Art School. I'm not an artist myself, except maybe like a digital creative person who makes videos and takes pictures a lot online, but I feel like a lot of people in my generation can also say that. So while I never really fell into any traditional art practice, I have enjoyed learning like the practicalities and the impracticalities, I guess, of going to art school. This is just kind of the cover photo. It involves photography, but they interview a lot of different types of artists in this book, so I found it cool. It's like a window into a world of a professional artist or mini professional artists. I've actually made it a decent way through this one, like more than halfway. It does get involved with a lot of technicalities that I personally don't relate to, as I'm not someone who's trying to be a professional like physical artist. This one is actually pretty cool. It's somewhat related to what I went to school for, because I kind of went to school for like graphic design, but it was more technical. It was app and web design, but this is a National Geographic book of a history of the peace sign, how it was made, why it was designed. I actually found this at a local Goodwill. I was actually pretty surprised upon finding it. I will say it has a bit of an interesting smell. It was that way when I got it. This one just has a bunch of different really aesthetic pictures of how people have used peace signs in the past. I have read the start of this book, and I do believe that the peace sign was invented in kind of the early 1900s. I'm also not confident enough to really give an essay about the history of the peace sign, but I did think that this was a really cool topic. This book is kind of large. It doesn't fit with most of the other books that I have for this haul. Ultimately, when I'm finished with it, I think I am gonna donate it back to Goodwill so that someone else can learn about the history of the peace sign. but these pictures are really cool. So actually chapter 1 is about the 1950s, so maybe that was around the time that the peace sign was invented. If I had to guess before I read that, I would have said like around the 1930s, 1940s, but I'm not really sure. I also love the font design. This would not work for most digital designs unless you were doing something with motion graphics or cinema. It is fun to look at. This next one has been in my room for ages. It's been on my to be read list for ages. It is currently several years old now. This is before TikTok and Reels took over the internet, so I am hesitant to read this just because I feel like I'm going to be drowning in nostalgia. Personally, I liked the internet more before short form content took over, but this is called No Filter. This is basically an inside history of Instagram. Honestly, I haven't even started this one. I use either paint chips or my old Pokemon card collection as bookmarks for my books, and as you can see, the paint chip is still with the sleeve of the book. I am very excited to read this, but I feel like it's going to make me very emotional because this is a different ideation of Instagram, and this was also just a different time in social media. I've also heard that this really takes a harsh look at Instagram's effect on our mental health. And I feel like all social media has a dark side and a positive side. So as long as you don't overdo it and you don't compare yourself too harshly to other people, social media can have a healing effect and a positive effect, a connective effect on society. But I feel like this book also delves into the darker side. I personally have not read it yet, but that's what I've read from reviews. I love fashion photography, so naturally when I saw this, I had to get it. I am someone who basically I DIY all of my fashion photo shoots because I'm an introverted person and I don't live in a photography hub where there are photographers that need experience. So basically I have to do everything myself. This one I actually have started. You can see the paint chip is there. So this is just the back. This is just a couple of sample photos. I felt inspired when I started reading this because the author takes most of her photos all by herself. It kind of made me feel less alone about one of my hobbies, which is photography combined with fashion. This one is actually the newest one that I've bought a physical copy for. Technically, the newest one that I've bought at full price was the newest Hunger Games one, but I downloaded that on my phone so that I could take it with me. It is a fiction book, but it's like one of the few fiction books that I'm interested in reading. This one is a poetry book. I did pay full price at a major bookstore for this one as well, but I wanted it new and I wanted it in new condition. The paint chip is right here. I might have read like the first poem. No, the paint chip is on a note from the author, actually. So I'm really excited to read this one. I feel like this one's gonna be all about self-care. I love this author, what she posts on social media, but I've never actually bought a book from her. So I'm excited to read all of these. This one is probably gonna be on the top of my list. This one is about business, especially I feel like social media marketing. I'm really interested in that. Social media, doing it full time, doing it for myself, curated on what I'm interested in. That has always been my dream job. So I bought this maybe in early 2024. I have not actually read it yet, but I'm really excited about this one too, and the cover is so pretty. I was actually going to review all of these, like that was the concept of this video, reviewing books that I haven't read yet, but I decided to be fair to these books and not judge them just based off of their cover. I wanted to be fair to you guys and respect your time. This one is another one that kind of delves into social media marketing. Obviously, it's all about influencers. I really want to read this. I did get this probably in early 2024 again, and I was really excited to read it, but I just have so many different books, and I'm never sure what I'm 100% in the mood for unless it is something really fandom-y related, maybe. I don't know, that doesn't really make sense because I don't read a lot of fiction, but when it comes to nonfiction, I never really know what I'm in the mood for. I never really know what I'm gonna spend a lot of time prioritizing, like, to read, so that has led me to being stagnant about what I want to read, but this is similar to the Mind Your Business book, and I'm really excited to read. This is the last in the stack. It is not the last that I have not read. But this is called Promoting Fashion. I feel like this was a college school book that someone donated to Goodwill. I am really into fashion photography, and I just thought that this one would inspire me more for photo shoots, if nothing else, but it also kind of deals with marketing. I will say that this one is several years old, so I'm not really sure if it's going to be super up to date. Anyway, now I just want to spend the rest of the night reading and doing nothing else. Stay beautiful.